we should see investment in those strategic systems right the way down to uncrewed surface vessels and in the tactical area, as they call it, with the British Army, low-cost systems where you're seeing between 4 and 7 million of those drone types operating in conflict zones such as Ukraine. So that investment needs to be across the board, but with fewer people here in our armed forces, the ability to augment them and control a larger number of systems with fewer people is the opportunity that technology now provides.
We had the Defence Secretary Wes Streeting on the programme about an hour ago, and as you heard, he wouldn't commit to rising spending on defence to 3% of national income by 2030. But defence spending is overall on the rise. The Prime Minister is keen to land that point, that spending means more investment in British jobs, in British companies. The Defence Secretary spoke about reindustrialising the country. And the Prime Minister will talk about British money spent on British workers in British firms and helping develop British skills in the places, in his words, that have been written off for 40 years. Auterion is a major defence firm with interests in the UK. They specialise in autonomous systems and drones. And James East is head of Auterion UK and joins us in the studio this morning. A very good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Salma.
James, obviously we've been talking about this announcement this morning. What do you make of it, and do you welcome this commitment to defence?
Yeah, I think so. The government are realising that autonomy as it relates to Auterion is now central to defending countries and our allies. We're seeing a state of urgency across the nation and the world, and we would offer, and the government has now come to this realisation, as highlighted in the Defence Investment Plan, that the ability to deploy large numbers of coordinated drones or uncrewed systems will be central to whether countries can defend themselves effectively in the future. So there's some welcome progress, but I would always offer more and faster.
Well, I was going to say, do you need that investment to speed up? But that seems like a redundant question to ask someone who looks after a defence firm, because that is obviously the implication.
Yeah, the Defence Investment Plan is taking autonomy seriously. So the plan is funding $5 billion for drones and autonomous systems within that plan. That plan did take time to come to fruition, but we have now seen it. And although we are yet to see the reality of that come through in practice, the signals are good. And that would be the largest investment in uncrewed systems in the British military history. But building that plumbing for faster procurement is harder and less glamorous than announcing money, and that's where we need to see progress. So the government is in the process of doing both, and we saw several months ago the Uncrewed Systems Centre, led by Brigadier Stu Nassi and the UK Ministry of Defence, explicitly set up to create fielding that capability in weeks, not years. So we're excited to see that progress, but more and faster remains the key message.
As I said at the very beginning, Andy Burnham's really stressed this point about investing British money in British workers and in British firms. And I suppose, what do you make of that? Because as far as I understand, Auterion is a Swiss company based and headquartered in the US?
So all of Auterion's defence work is led out of Germany, but we are an international business. All serious defence businesses are international and operating across all allies. So here in the UK, I completely agree with the UK government. We really do need to invest, and we are investing in jobs and the programmes that the UK is focused on. And I think it's important that Auterion isn't asking for a new programme. We're already here, we're already delivering. We're running on Royal Navy uncrewed vessels with our close partner Kraken under Project Beehive. And we've demonstrated recently the ability to do one operator to multiple drones to the British Army.
OK, just speaking about drones for a moment, because that's very much your area of these autonomous systems. And I suppose it begs the question, how quickly is the nature of warfare changing? And the needs of defence for a country is very different today from what it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I suppose, are interceptors for drones perhaps the next big development?
Yeah, we're unquestionably, and we can point towards Ukraine as an area. So Ukraine has been a real turning point for autonomous drone systems and warfare. And the UK is now signalling that it's serious about applying those lessons to its own military operations, but that we are still yet to see that at any great scale. Auterion understands the war in Ukraine quite closely, having supported multiple combat missions, and this year we will field 100,000 Auterion-powered drones in that conflict area. So we're operating at a significant scale with real relevance there to support our partners. Unmanned systems are reshaping the MOD's tactics and logistics and deterrence, and that shift is being recognised in strategies that I won't unpack here, but multiple of the frontline commands are bringing it to bear so that they can operate at a fraction of the cost of traditional military systems.
Okay, and I suppose I just want to finally ask you, just in line with that idea of warfare really changing and this emphasis being put on drones, where else should the emphasis currently be for the UK?
So the big difference that drones and autonomous systems are bringing today is the ability to do low cost at scale. And that's where we're in Auterion operating at delivering low-cost drones that bring strategic cruise missile type capabilities with a key partner of ours, MGI Engineering. So we should see investment in those strategic systems right the way down to uncrewed surface vessels, and in the tactical area, as they call it, with the British Army, low-cost systems where you're seeing between 4 and 7 million of those drone types operating in conflict zones such as Ukraine. So that investment needs to be across the board, but with fewer people here in our armed forces, the ability to augment them and control a larger number of systems with fewer people is the opportunity that technology now provides.
Okay, so much more to talk about, but I'm afraid we're out of time, so I'll leave it there. James East, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Sol.
Fascinating. I suppose that kind of message there to do more and to do it faster is one that has been spoken of for a long old time, actually, in the context of defence spending over these last couple of years. And when Wes Streeting was on this programme about an hour ago, he was talking about the need to focus on future budget and spending reviews as to whether those targets, specifically to spend 3% of GDP on defence by 2030, it's for the time of budget and spending reviews for that decision to be made. So he couldn't commit to it and didn't commit to it on the programme this morning, but instead was looking at 2035 for 3.5% of GDP to be spent. But the call from industry, from experts, from analysts is more and faster. So can the government deliver that?